जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजना यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजना यमुना तीरा वनचारी यमुना तीरा वनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय गोपी जना वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी जय गोपी जना वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजना यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजना यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजना यमुना तीरा वनचारी यमुना तीरा वनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपी जना वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजना यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजना यमुना तीरा वनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी एवं श्रीपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर सच श्री श्रीमद हिज डिवाइन ग्रेस भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की श्री श्री राधा मदन मोहन की श्री श्री जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रा माई की श्री श्री गौरनिताय की हरिनाम संकीर्तन महायज्ञ की निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naranchaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistike. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 13, text number 4, right? Where's the sound coming from? Somebody's mobile, is it? Nivasatoya Dravinatma Buddhi. Nivasatoya Dravinatma Buddhis. Tatastato Dhavati Bho Atavyam. Tatastato Dhavati Bho Atavyam. Kvachityavatya Titapamshu Dhumra. Kvachityavatya Titapamshu Dhumra. Disho न जानाति रजस्वलक्षाः दिशो न जानाति रजस्वलाक्षः निवासतो या द्रविणात्मबुद्धि निवासतो या द्रविणात्मबुद्धि ततस्ततो धावति भो अतव्याम् ततस्ततो धावति भो अतव्याम् क्वचिच्च वात्यातितपांशु धूम्रा क्वचिच्च वात्योतितपांशु धूम्रा दिशो जजानाति रजस्वलाक्षः दिशो न जानाति रजस्वलाक्षः Nivasa, residential place. Toya, water. Dravina, wealth. Atma Buddhihi, who considers these material things the Atma or self. Tata, here and there, Dhavati, he runs. Bho, O king, Atavyam, on that forest path of material existence. Kvachitcha, and sometimes Vatya, by the whirlwind. Uddhita, raised. Pamshu, by dust. Dhumraha, appear smoke colored. Dishaha, the directions. Na, not. Janati, knows. Rajahvala Akshaha, whose eyes are covered by the dust of the wind, or who is captivated by his wife during the menstrual period. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. My dear king, the merchant on the forest path of material world, his intelligence victimized by home, wealth, relatives and so forth, runs from one place to another in search of success. Sometimes his eyes are covered by the dust of a whirlwind. That is to say, in his lust he is captivated by the beauty of his wife, especially during her menstrual period. Thus his eyes are blinded and he cannot see where to go or what he is doing. Purport. It is said that household attraction resides in the wife because sex is the center of household life. In Maithunadi Gruhamedi Sukam Hitucham, a materialistic person making his wife the center of attraction, works very hard day and night. His only enjoyment in material life is sexual intercourse. Therefore, the karmis are attracted to women as friends or wives. Indeed, they cannot work without sex. Under the circumstances, the wife is compared to a whirlwind, especially during her menstrual period. Those who strictly follow the rules and regulations of householder life engage in sex only once a month at the end of the menstrual period. As one looks forward to this opportunity, his eyes are overwhelmed by the beauty of his wife. Thus, it is said that the whirlwind covers the eyes with dust. Such a lusty person does not know that all his material activities are being observed by different demigods, especially the sun god, and are being recorded for karma, for the karma of one's next body. Astrological calculations are called Jyoti Shastra because the Jyoti or effulgence in the material world comes from different stars and planets. The science is called Jyoti Shastra. The science of the luminaries. By the calculation of Jyoti, our future is indicated. In other words, all the luminaries, the stars, the sun, the moon, witness the activities of the conditioned soul. Thus, he is awarded a particular type of body. A lusty person whose eyes are covered by the dust of the whirlwind of material existence does not at all consider that his activities are being observed by different stars and planets and are being recorded. Not knowing this, the conditioned soul commits all kinds of sinful activities for the satisfaction of his lusty desires. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Yananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsya Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamsha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Vancha Kalpatarubhyasya Rupa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Please repeat after me. My dear King, the merchant on the forest path of the material world, his intelligence victimized by home, wealth, relatives, and so forth, runs from one place to another in search of success. Sometimes his eyes are covered by the dust of the whirlwind. That is to say, in his lust, he is captivated by the beauty of his wife, especially during her menstrual period. Thus, his eyes are blinded and he cannot see where to go or what he is doing. Shri Shri Radha Madan Mohan, Shri Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadramai, Shri Shri Gaurnitai ki Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yat Krupatamaham Vande Shri Gurum Dinatarinam Pramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram. So the principle of material existence is the attraction between man and woman. It is the binding force that binds us to this material world. As long as we are attracted to woman and as long as a woman is attracted to a man, we are bound to this material world. And then of course, once the attraction is there, then the products of that attraction will manifest, such as house, children, family, grandchildren, and so on. So this original attraction between man and woman increases your bondage, increases your, Prabhupada uses the word bondage or sometimes he uses the word entanglement with the material world. It deepens it. So there is, like I said, there is the family, there is the wife, there is the children, grandchildren, and then you have to earn for them, then you have to support them, then you have to provide for them. So before you know anything, you're completely entangled. You become a slave of the family situation. So is the wife. Wife also becomes completely entangled. So much so that they barely have any time to even reflect and ask some important questions about life, about karma, about atma, etc. Just immersed. Because material life is a life where most of the time it's very hostile to all of us. Hostile in the sense that things generally don't tend to happen the way you want it to happen, or the way you want it to happen, where you predict and the way you're comfortable. They don't tend to happen like that. It's pretty hostile. There's always some nasty surprise in terms of our karma. So this entanglement becomes deep, and then it is said that a living entity passes the whole life, many millions of lifetimes like this, barely having either the interest or the patience or intelligence to ask questions about, like I said, who am I, where did I come from, why am I suffering like this, what's happening with me, is this the purpose of life, just be born, grow up, fall in love or whatever, develop some attachment, if you're a man to a woman and if you're a woman to a man, and then explore that attachment and deepen your entanglement, and then you surround yourself with the extensions and so on, and then before you know anything, you're dead and gone. and then you're born again. So millions of lifetimes until some divine force interferes in our life. It just go on like that, endless loop. So sometimes it is said that this ocean of material existence, you just can't come out easily until someone pulls you out of it. Like it's said that Indra, who was a king of the demigods, he also had, by virtue of, because of a curse, he had to be born in the material world. And then it is to the surprise and shock of everybody, Indra became so attached to his family in the material world. And by the way, he was born as he had to appear because of the curse as a pig. And so the pig had its own family, the family of pig. The wife, the children, the grandchildren, the cousins, the uncles, the aunties. So he was so attached to these pigs, family of pigs. Then at the end of the period of the curse, when the Devatas came to take him back, Indra said, no, how can I leave? My grandchildren are all so young. Who will take care of them? I have to provide for them. I have to take care of them, etc. Because it all begins with, like I said, attraction between man and woman, and it tends to grow. That's why Stri, the word Stri is literally translated as something that expands our entanglement. And finally, with great difficulty, they had to rescue Indra and take him back. So this attraction between man and woman appears so natural. If you go and tell somebody that actually we are meant to be attracted to Krishna more than anything else, people look at it with great surprise and say, "What do you mean by that?" I mean, I'm born. I'm supposed to have a family. It's the most normal thing to do, like a woman or marry a woman. I mean, marry and have a family, and the most normal, from time immemorial, this is what has been happening. This is the history of mankind. From Adam and Eve, from the time Manu first created, and Brahma. The thing is, when Brahma's children protested and said, "No, we don't want to fall into this trap. It's an endless entanglement. We will stay as we are. We'll stay brahmacharis. We'll stay because it's pointless. There's no meaning at all. You invest so much of your time and energy in supporting and managing your family and protecting the family and preventing distress and suffering, etc. One fine day you're gone. They're also gone. You're also gone. And then you never meet again. Chances are that you'll never meet again. And even if you meet, you'll not remember that you were part of a family. So the whole thing is so meaningless that at the point of death, everybody goes on their own, into their own, as per their karma cycle. Like it's mentioned here, all the devatas are observing. All as per their karma cycle, they end up in some other body, somewhere else. Or maybe you'll end up as your neighbor or whatever. But you'll not understand, you'll not even recognize that this person was my husband or my wife or my son, my grandson or something in the previous life. We will not even know. We will not even understand. So when Chitraketu lost his son, Narada Muni, Angir Muni came and then they said, they brought the child's Atma back into the body because Chitraketu's son was poisoned by envious queens who didn't have a baby, who didn't have a child, and killed. So the Narada Muni brings that Atma back into the body, and Narada Muni says, "Why did you leave? Can't you see your parents are grieving? They're crying. They're so attached to you. How could you leave them like this? Isn't it very unfair? You caused so much of pain, distress. It's a big tragedy in their life. You were born, you were there for some time, they enjoyed you, your company as a son, and then suddenly you go away. And then, to the surprise of everyone, not everyone, to the surprise of Chitraketu and others who were grieving, the Atma says, parents, which life? I've had millions of parents. Whom are you talking about? Which life? Which parents are you talking about? So it said that was a wake-up call for Chitraketu because he was so attached. It kind of woke him up from his deep slumber, or shall we say deep sleep in the mode of ignorance. And then he suddenly everything came to his mind and consciousness that this is not real existence. Atmas come, they are there for some time together, and then they go away. And they go away. Each one of them is practically on his own or on her own. As per their karma, they land up in some other body, some other situation, some other place, exactly as per the witness. It said that the sun god and the devatas are witnesses. And it's so clearly said, they make note. They have an Excel sheet or whatever, and they store it in some cloud or whatever. So they kind of keep track of all that we are doing. Sometimes this attachment that we have for family, the wife, is so deep that we may even ignore, or we may not even care when we are told that the devatas are watching you. There's law of karma, you'll have to pay for it, because this force of attraction is so strong, very, very deep rooted and strong. That's why I said it appears almost it's very natural for a man to like the wife to like the husband, for them to love each other, and for them to be living together, and so on. It appears very natural. But it's said that in the scripture, it is said that we're all, even the identity that somebody is a wife, somebody is a husband, someone is male, someone is female, is also some kind of a superfluous imposition. Actually, we're all Atmas created by the Lord. We belong to the Lord. We don't belong to each other in that sense, as much as we belong to Krishna. If we belong to each other, we belong to each other in the sense that we're all born of the same Father. That's how we belong to each other. So, in the strictest sense of the term, there's no absolute male or shall we say female. It's a superfluous imposition on the living entity. When the living entity deviates from the path of attachment to Krishna and serving Krishna, then the living entity is forced to take the form of a male or a female, or an animal for that matter, animal, plant, insect, bird, when it deviates from the path of bhakti. So this forced identity is taken, because without that identity you can't live in the material world. By the way, that identity is given to you as per one's karmic inclinations. Prabhupada says you have the inclination to eat flesh. Who knows? Maybe you'll take the body of a tiger. You have the inclination to be very attached to the family, then you'll be born as a man or something like that, woman. And then you're given a chance to exercise your affection or something towards family members who are actually not your family members, because you have this hallucination in your mind that I want to enjoy family life. So Krishna gives you that opportunity by throwing a few atmas into your family, saying, all right, you experience this family life. That is what you're hankering for. You try for yourself, because you're hankering for it. So that arrangement of a family unit is also in one sense a very superfluous thing. But then of course, once in the material world, family is a smallest unit of social, economic and social unit. That's a different matter. That's a different kind of a discussion. But today's discussion, we are focused on how the attachment between man and woman gives rise to so many things. The concept of economic development, economic stability, development, progress, everything comes from this attachment between man and woman. The well-being of the family, the children, the grandchildren, society, the whole fabric, whole ecosystem of the material world is created to support this attraction between man and woman. Everything is supporting the attraction between man and woman, cementing it, hardening it, making it even more, reinforcing it. But the fact is, that's not our true identity at all. That's not what we are. That's not who we are. We're actually servants of Krishna. We are Atmas, we are servants of Krishna, and we belong to Krishna more than we belong to anybody else. We belong to Krishna more than we belong to the family, to the husband, to the wife. We all of us, for that matter, belong to Krishna. Because we turned away from Krishna, then we start developing attraction for other living entities. Just as Indra developed attraction for his family of pigs, piglets, etc. So he developed attraction and attachment. So this thing of turning away from Krishna is is a very, it's a very retrograde. It is a very degrading step. Because from the time you turn away from Krishna, then you, Bahirmukha, then you look at this world and you think this world is where you belong. This material world is where you belong. And it's such a superfluous idea that you're temporary, you'll die, you'll go away. This relationship between the so-called family members is so very temporary. And nowadays, it is not even lasting a lifetime. People go to the court and fight. Family members fight like anything over property, over this or that. Even within the family, there are disputes and they separate. They can't see each other's face. The husband-wife also. Previously, the husband-wife were a powerful bond was there in the previous ages. But even that is also a joke now. I mean, in the sense that nobody really attaches any sacredness or stability or anything, even in the relationship between husband and wife. That's because progressively it is said that this attachment between man and woman, which is the basis of society, if the attachment is the basis of society or the basis of the family, that the man likes the woman likes the man, and there is attachment, etc. In the material world, nothing will taste good after some time. Nothing will taste the same after some time. It becomes very monotonous, it becomes very dull, and the living entity craves for variety, craves for change. So, because there is no sanctity attached to the family life and marriage. Previously, there was a sanctity attached, and people would stay together. They are happy, not happy, they are fighting, they're incompatible. There was no such thing as they are incompatible and hence they have to separate. There was no such concept at all. They're married and they have to stay for good. They have to stay together, whether they like it or not, or whether they are happy with it or not. The idea of because family life was meant to see that you get some opportunity to enjoy with each other, the husband with wife, wife with the husband, but within a certain framework of regulation and discipline. Because that regulation or discipline is lost now, the sanctity of marriage is lost. The man associates with the woman associates as long as they're mutually happy. And the law of the material world is there is a law of diminishing returns. First time they associate, maybe they're happy. Second time, yes. Third time, yes. After some time, it becomes monotonous and dull. And very predictable. So there's no excitement or joy in it anymore. But even when they were married in the previous ages, the principle of attraction between man and woman was not so much prominent. What was prominent is, Baba, we have an obligation to each other, we have a duty to each other, we have to take care of the kids. This is a unit. Ultimately, we have to do something for Guru, Krishna, etc. Some bhakti should be there. We have to regulate. There should be discipline. We can't become wild animals. We can't become wild animals chasing after. The moment we get fed up with each other, we chase somebody else. No. That was not the principle of married life. That was not allowed. That was a taboo. Nobody would think like that. But today, because the sanctity of marriage is lost, the restrictions and the regulations and the discipline and the commitment towards each other is lost. Basically, all marriages tend to be very temporary because there is a law of diminishing return, which means first time you associate, it's nice. Second, nice. Maybe third, nice. After some time, it becomes, like I said, dull, monotonous, and repetitive and predictable, and everybody gets bored. Everybody. So they start looking for some other ways of satisfying their senses. Because satisfying their senses is the principle of the material world now. Come what may, if you're not happy, find somebody else. If she's not happy, let her find somebody else. This is the principle. That's why it's a crazy world, because there are no restrictions. Nobody believes that there is the demigods who are watching, the sun god is watching. There's law of karma. You will have to pay for it. Nobody even understands that, yes, Baba, this is the fact of life. Man, woman, come together. You will be happy for some time. You will like each other. But it will fade out. After some time, it will fade out. It will diminish. That attraction, physical attraction will diminish. That's the way of life. That's a fact of life. We don't want to accept it. We don't want to accept, because the restrictions, sanctity morality, everything is gone. So we'll think maybe I made a mistake by associating with this person. Maybe I will be happy if I associate with some other person. Let me try. Let me try. So that's become the principle. So very, very little by little, without our knowledge, we're actually becoming slaves of our senses. Completely slaves of our senses. Dasharatha was criticized like anything by so many people, including his own son Lakshmana. Lakshmana criticized Dasharatha. He says, you're a slave of your senses. You become a slave of Kaikeyi. You're so attached to Kaikeyi because she's little more attractive than the others. You have become a slave. You're not a, you've lost your sense of discrimination and impartiality, fairness. You've lost your sense of duty because you've become too much attached to this lady called Kaikeyi. That makes you unqualified, unworthy to be a king. Because all your judgments are now prejudiced or influenced by your attachment for Kaikeyi. Because because of that, presently because of that tight bonding that you have between you and Kaikeyi, everything that you do is tainted with this attachment that you have for Kaikeyi. So Lakshmana says, you're not qualified, you can't be the king anymore. So I will take the steps to see that you're removed from Lakshmana becomes so angry with Dasharatha. He says, how dare you send Rama to the forest? He's the most qualified person. There's nobody more qualified than Lord Rama right now. And by the way, the eldest son. And you have the courage, you have the audacity at the behest of your henpecked, yes, Lakshmana uses the word henpecked husband. Henpecked husband. You have the audacity to banish Rama to the forest to satisfy her. And then make her son the king or whatever. How dare you do this? How can you insult our family tradition, our vamsha, our everything you are insulting because of your attachment? Then Dasharatha will say, yes, I have become henpecked husband. I'm totally helpless. I made these foolish decisions out of my excessive attachment for her. Lusty, excessive attachment for her. Please go ahead, imprison me. Dasharatha will say, at any cost, don't let Rama go to the forest. I am bound by my word that I gave, that promise or whatever, and Kaikeyi is exploiting me now. Completely exploiting me now. I am helpless. So I don't want my weakness to come in the way of Rama becoming the king. If you wish, you banish. Actually, he tells Rama also, don't obey my order, please. This is a wrong. This is exploitation. Kaikeyi has exploited me. My attachment for her. Rama will say, no, please don't speak like that. Lakshmana will speak differently. Lakshmana is more passionate. But Rama is more the Maryada Purushottama. Rama will say, how can you speak like that? Doesn't matter. After all, who's going to be the king? My brother Bharata, let him be the king. I am equally happy to see Bharata sitting on the throne as much as I would have liked to sit on the throne. Actually, probably I'll be even more happy with Bharata, my little brother, becoming the king. But what is important is I have to honor your promise and word. So Rama will speak differently, Lakshmana will speak differently, but of course Rama will prevail over Lakshmana and tell him, don't do that. Then we can't correct one mistake with another mistake. You can't imprison your father and you cannot talk like this. Doesn't matter. Time, destiny, the will of the Lord has its own, it reveals itself in different ways. So as kings, we have to follow destiny and dharma, etc. So Dasharatha acquired that ill reputation of being a henpecked husband because he was actually very attached to Kaikeyi. Very, very attached to Kaikeyi. He could never ever say no to Kaikeyi. So this thing of attraction can actually compromise our ethics, our values, our life, our goal, our morality, our strength, our character, everything. This, when we become a slave of attraction, this man-woman attraction thing, when we become a slave, There is a space for it. Not everybody can become sannyasi or brahmachari. There's space in the grahastha ashram. But like I said, everything has to be done within the framework of certain restrictions, discipline, and precaution. Can't be taken as a license to indulge and do whatever you like. That would be disastrous. Actually, all these restrictions are given by the sages out of their experience, out of their wisdom, out of their understanding of human nature, out of their understanding of material world, out of their understanding of the character of the man in Kali Yuga. There's some restrictions have been given. If you follow them, you abide by them, then yes, you also derive some marital bliss. But there's not so much. You'll never be overpowered by lust or passion. You won't be overpowered. But yes, there is marital bliss also, provided you lead a responsible life. So one can't look at marriage, or for that matter, association with women as a unlicensed, free for all, unrestricted type of an activity. That would be disastrous. It would become like I said, one will become slave of his senses. And one becomes a slave of his senses, then it becomes the predominating predominating nature of that person. In all his decisions, you can see this factor of lust playing through. In all his decisions, everything that he does, the underlying nature of his lusty desires will surface. So, one end there is the example of Indra, the other end there is the example of Dasharatha. He was also condemned. I mean, of course, that was divinely ordained by the Lord. But nevertheless, the example is that when one becomes completely a slave of his senses, it's not so good. The outcome is not so good. So similarly, whether it is lust or greed or envy, anger, everything has to be potentially, each of these are capable of destroying one's character. Every one of them. But among them, lust is the primary thing. Lust is primary. Lust is predominant. Lust is the most difficult to conquer. That is what we hear and read. Because the fact is that the living entity cannot be satisfied easily by anything except Krishna, except service to Krishna, except by being connected with Krishna. So lust can never subside unless the living entity connects back to Krishna. It's not possible. You can suppress it for some time, you can hide it for some time, you can practice some austerity and then deny yourself any lusty indulgence for some time, but it cannot go away from your system. It cannot. And it can be sublimated into prema only when you are in connection with Krishna. Lust can transform into Krishna prema only when we start serving the Lord. Because lust is actually, Prabhupada explains so perfectly. He says, lust is the perverted reflection of what? Perverted reflection of love, correct. Perverted reflection of the love of the living entity for Krishna. Because Krishna is not there, but the tendency to love is there in the material world. This love transforms into, degrades into lust. But the love can restore, lust can upgrade, or lust can transform back into love from the moment you start doing your bhakti. Because the fact is, nothing and nobody, no situation can ever satisfy you in the material world. You may have Ramba, Urvashi, Menaka as your consort or wife, but you will not be satisfied after some time. Nothing can satisfy lust. Only thing that can satisfy is when you transform this lust into love for Krishna. And Krishna can satisfy the living entity completely. There's nothing and nobody which can satisfy the lusty urges of the living entity. So first we have to purify the lust into love, into bhakti, and then offer it to Krishna. And then when Krishna becomes the recipient of your love, then you'll notice that you're being completely satisfied. You'll no longer run, like it's mentioned here, like a merchant searching for success and money and satisfy oneself. No longer. Krishna is where your search for love ends, or shall we say, true love begins. You don't have to search beyond Krishna. But the trick is, the challenge is, how do I transform lust into love? If we don't, we are slaves of lust. Eventually, we'll all become Dasharathas or Indras or even Ravanas. Ravana was another typical standard case. He kidnapped any beautiful woman from any part of the world. He kidnapped them and brought them. Of course, after he was cursed by one Apsara, because he forcibly subdues her, and she curses him. And so he's afraid to forcibly subdue somebody, but he will try to charm them and make them his consorts. But was Ravana satisfied? No. So in the discussion that happens, when Vibhishana wants to leave Ravana and go to Lord Rama, Vibhishana will tell Ravana that you have tried to satisfy your lusty desires by kidnapping women from every corner of the world, every corner of creation. But you're not satisfied. Because lust can never be satisfied like that. And now you become so arrogant that you even kidnapped the consort of the Lord himself. But the point is, she's not meant for you. She is meant to be enjoyed only by Krishna, the Lord, the Supreme Lord. And you're trying to somehow or other convince her, cajole her, seduce her, whatever, to accept you. That won't happen. She belongs to the Lord. She's the Lord's eternal partner, consort, other half of the Lord, the counterpart, the female counterpart of the Lord. And you're trying to disrupt that transcendental divine bond between the Lord and his consort by forcibly kidnapping. So Vibhishana tries his best, and then he warns Ravana. He says, the path you have chosen is going to bring you disaster. Try and be satisfied with whomever you have. Don't look for more and more. It's not going to satisfy you. If what you have is not going to satisfy you, what you will get in future also will not satisfy you. Whoever you kidnap and forcibly try to keep here, even they will not satisfy you. Try and be satisfied with whom you have, whatever you have, whomever you have. Because the satisfaction does not come from having some more person added into your palace, some more women, beautiful women. The satisfaction will come when you just have to satisfy and pacify yourself, saying, this is it. This is all that I am due and entitled to, and let me be satisfied with it. So in other words, it is said that the more we try to satisfy our senses, our lusty desires, our plans, the more stronger the desires become. They don't pacify. The way to pacify them is not to indulge in them. The way to pacify them is to transform them. Transform them into bhakti. There is no other way that you can be peaceful in this material world. If you don't transform your lust into love for Krishna. Until then, you're like a man who is always hungry, always thirsty, always, greedy, who's not satisfied. No matter what you have, no matter how many people you have all the apsaras with you, but still you will not be satisfied. Because that satisfaction is not there in the form of a female, or for that matter, in the form of a male. That satisfaction, that pleasure is there only hidden in Krishna. The moment you offer yourself in service to Krishna, then you become satisfied. You may find it difficult to accept, but that because we are conditioned by innumerable lifetimes to think that for me happiness means associating with a beautiful woman. For a woman, happiness means handsome, powerful man, or whatever. That's what we are conditioned to think, but that's not true. It's not true at all. This is a myth of the material world. This is the falsehood of the material world. Maya is trying to keep you bound through this one single lie one single deception. Your happiness is there when you associate with a woman. A woman will think, my happiness when I associate with a man. Well, there is some happiness. I'm not denying it. Nobody denies it. But that's not going to satisfy you. The, 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 the capacity of the Atma to love is very, very large. Though Atma is infinitesimal, the Acharyas say the capacity of the Atma to love is very, very, almost infinite. Though it is infinitesimal in size, the capacity for love, to receive affection, show affection, is infinite. And the only person who can give you that quantum of love is Krishna. No other living entity is capable of giving, because, by the way, every living entity is looking for love. How can he give you? Looking, seeking. Krishna is the provider of love. Provider. No other living entity can give you. Only Krishna can give. Because our desire for love is infinite. The gopis' love for Krishna cannot be measured, cannot be estimated, cannot be measured, cannot be imagined, cannot be described, the intensity of their love. It's not possible at all. Though, Acharyas say, though they are small living entities, minute, but the quantum of love they have for Krishna is infinite. Krishna also comments, saying, though you are just small living entities, how much you are loving me. How incredibly you are loving me. The quantum of your love is incredible, unbelievable, indescribable, can't be explained. And so only Krishna can reciprocate perfectly. So hence all living entities have to follow the path of bhakti, have to graduate to the level of loving Krishna. And the way to do it is as explained by the principles given out in the Guru Parampara. We can't speculate, because Guru Parampara is the channel through which we get information about how to love Krishna. How to love Krishna. And independently we cannot do that. That knowledge is restricted to bona fide Guru Paramparas. So you necessarily have to get connected to one of the Guru Paramparas. And the moment you're connected, your love for Krishna awakens. Actually, they said dormant love for Krishna awakens. Then you're safe. As long as you're practicing devotion. Because we are all living entities, neither male nor female. We are amshas of the Lord. Actually, characteristically, we are more female. We are actually female. Because we want to love Krishna and we want to be loved by Krishna. Krishna is the only male, the Shastras say. Male. And we are all meant to serve, love and serve Krishna. So, until we discover that original relationship between the Atma and Krishna, which is called Swarupa. Swarupa of the Atma is to serve Krishna, is to be connected with Krishna, is to be under the shelter of Krishna, is to enjoy Krishna's liberal, large-hearted, loving glances and reciprocation. Krishna is the most generous lover, most generous giver, most generous parent, father, mother, friend, most generous, extremely, inconceivably large-hearted. And we cannot be satisfied unless we receive that quantum of love that Krishna can give us. We can't be satisfied. So if we are searching for that type of love in the material world, obviously we'll be frustrated, disappointed. It doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. Nobody is capable of giving love, that kind of love that Krishna can give you. So, puna charvita charvanam. We keep on hunting until we find Guru Krishna Prasada Poi Bhakti Lata Bij. Someday we find Krishna. Somehow we find Krishna. And then our search ends there. And then we develop. Then we start, when Krishna starts reciprocating, even in small amounts, we're doing service and we feel, for no reason we feel big, we feel happy, we feel joyful, we feel protected, we feel sheltered, we feel we're back home. Here is someone who cares for me. We have not yet met him and seen him. We are just serving him. But still, we feel that here is someone who's caring, who's reciprocating, who's receiving my seva, who is acknowledging my service. When we, in a bona fide way, we serve Krishna. So then we understand that this is what I was looking for, and here it is. I found it. Nobody has to see. It's like a man who's hungry is given food to eat. After that, you don't have to go and ask him, "Are you satisfied?" The scriptures use this example and say, once you get to Krishna, you don't have to ask somebody, "Are you satisfied? Are you happy?" He's inevitably happy. So the principle of attraction between man and woman is there because it is misplaced, it is transformed. Actually, we are supposed to be attracted to Krishna. In the material world, because we don't perceive Krishna so easily, we tend to become attracted to one another. The man to the woman, woman to the man. And then we experiment. It never satisfies completely. It never satisfies fully. And we keep on trying. We until Guru Krishna interferes in our life, we keep trying. And someday we get introduced to the idea of bhakti. Maybe let me try this. Let me serve Krishna. Let me see. Let me chant his name. Let me hear about. Actually, it is said that even if one is not serving, even if one is hearing about the pastimes of Krishna and the qualities of Krishna, that attraction is reignited. Hearing bona fide sources, hearing the pastimes of Krishna, hearing the pastime, loving exchanges, loving pastime, not necessarily between Krishna and the gopis, Krishna and his friends, Krishna and his parents, Krishna and anybody, Krishna and his devotees, hearing that something in our system will awaken and say, "Wow, this is what I was searching for. And I at last found it." And when we take up chanting and we start associating and we start serving, and we start saying Krishna reciprocates, Krishna cares, Krishna loves, Krishna hears, Krishna answers our prayers, then the relationship becomes even more stronger out of our realization. So the only answer, only cure to lust is when we transform it into love for Krishna, into service to Krishna. Otherwise, there's no hope. We will forever and ever and ever be transmigrating in this material world in search of something that doesn't exist in this material world. In search of love, in search of loving reciprocation, in search of loving dealings that don't exist in the material world. Because every living entity is on his own, every living entity is searching, and because he's searching for this love which he's not finding, he's a frustrated living entity, and then chances are because he's so frustrated he will cheat. He's a compromised soul. People who are trying to find love in the material world are hopeless cases. I mean, in one sense, we can't say hopeless because there's always hope that he will turn towards Krishna sometime. But nevertheless, they are frustrated living entities. So how can two frustrated living entities find peace or happiness amongst themselves? And another factor is everything is temporary. All of them get together as a family based on their karma. There's no eternal bondage. I'm not saying neglect your family, neglect your wife, neglect your children, neglect your... No, that's not what I'm saying. You have to understand that we are together as a family unit based on karma. And as long as I'm there in the family, I have my responsibilities, my duties, my... unless you're a Paramahamsa sannyasi, which we are not. So we have to abide by the restrictions. Just as I said that when man and woman get together through an institution of marriage, there is some guidelines given by the scripture, given by God, given by the Lord, given by the acharyas, given by the Lord himself. So if we, then there is some kind of a peace and stability in man's mind, woman's mind also. But if we neglect that and ignore that, and we start thinking that it is my right to be happy through my senses, I want to be happy through my senses, I will achieve it at any cost. And I right now am frustrated with my existing wife or partner or whoever, and that's disastrous. That's very dangerous. Man becomes very manipulative, very, and like I said, the more you try to satisfy your desires, lusty desires, the stronger they become, but they're never satisfied. That's the irony of the whole thing. They become stronger. So there has to be regulation, there has to be discipline, there has to be mutual respect, and there has to be this understanding that we are here together. Of course, there's some marital bliss, but we are here together to serve, to search for Krishna, to become closer to Krishna. My job is to help you, your job is to help me to become closer to Krishna. So Grihastha, that's why it's called Grihastha Ashram. The ashram means a position of responsibility. Otherwise, typically, like Dasharatha became a slave, like Indra became a slave, like Ravana was a slave of his senses. Never satisfied. The moment he heard Shurpanaka come and describe Sita, finished. Because he was so powerful, he had no fear of the devatas, the demigods, karma, yamaraj, or anything. The moment he heard Shurpanaka provocatively describe the beauty of Sita, Ravana felt attracted. He said, I should own her. She should be mine. That is what happened. I mean, modern day people are mini Ravanas or something like that. Not that, but unfortunately they will be like that until they find Krishna. See, our Svarupa is to serve Krishna. Our Svarupa is to be sheltered by Krishna, serve Krishna, protected by Krishna, make friends with Krishna, have loving exchanges of seva with Krishna. That is our Svarupa. If you lose that, then you're completely under the clutches of modes of nature and Maya. And the more you try in Maya, under the modes of nature, the more entangled you become, more dissatisfied you become, the more distanced you become from Krishna and real happiness. And real happiness, the more distanced you become. But the moment you turn back towards Krishna, everything starts reversing. So you see the Gopas and the Gopis and the residents of Vrindavan, they can, actually Prabhupada says that they never had that kind of a lusty attraction for each other, though they are husbands and wives, etc. Their attraction was always Krishna. Because in the life of a pure devotee, the attraction for Krishna can never be replaced by anything else. So they never had that kind of a lusty dealings. All their affection and attraction and loving dealings were with Krishna. And Krishna reciprocates perfectly, completely, wholesome, and like I said, inconceivably generous reciprocation from Krishna. That's why the book is called Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Amrita, this nectarian ocean of happiness. And Rupa Goswami writes that this ocean of happiness that we experience by serving Krishna, every day I dive into it and I'm fascinated to see it's getting deeper and bigger. It's not static in that sense. So the amount, Anandambudhi Vardhanam, there's no end. It just keeps increasing. So on one side we have Krishna, one side we have material world. We have to choose. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Any questions, comments? Nothing? Okay. Tell me one or two things that we learned today. Any one of you?
Mike is here.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. So, from this class, we understood that even though that lust is there in us, so even if we indulge or more actively present in those activities, finally prestation only will become, it will be known. And you have said the solution also, that for lust is ever lasting. It is like continuous only, but it can't stop until and unless the lust is engaged in the service of Lord, in the form of devotional service. Then only we can be saved. Actually,
Correct.
that's what I understood.
Correct, correct. Actually, Srila Prabhupada writes that even if one reads the dealings between Krishna and the gopis, your lust will be subsiding, will subside. Even hearing, reading, your lust will subside. That's the one and the only remedy. Nothing else that exists which can help you get over. No mechanical method disconnected from Krishna can free you from this. It can suppress for some time. It can never free you. It can't be freed in one sense. It can only be transformed. Like I said, lust can be transformed into love. And that is the success and the goal of the living entity. How do I make lust transform itself to love for Krishna? It's possible. Acharya speak how to do that. Good. Any other question? Any other point? You can speak. What is that? Why are you hesitating?
Ji, nobody can give you that amount of satisfaction and love which
Yeah.
is given by Krishna.
Yeah.
The amount of satisfaction and love we get in this
What's
material
that?
world. The amount of satisfaction
Yes.
and love we get in this material world we never get satisfied here. So it can only be satisfied when we surrender unto Krishna.
Only be satisfied?
When we surrender to Krishna and love Him and follow the footsteps of Acharya.
I didn't get your question. Somebody can repeat? Tell me.
Saying that in this material world we never get satisfaction until and
Correct.
unless we surrender to Krishna under
Correct.
Acharya's guidance, then only we'll get satisfied.
Yes,
He's
correct.
saying.
Yes. Very, very right. Okay. You wanted something?
Prabhuji, you said that the material attachment to the parents. So how it is be material attachment to the parents, symptoms of the attachment to our parents?
So you're saying attachment to parents is not material. So you're asking me, how did I say that attachment to parents is a material sentiment? See, actually, if your attachment to parents has a spiritual dimension, that means you want to wish them well, you want them to progress spiritually, you want them to get closer to Krishna, you want them also to become nice devotees, then your attachment to parents is not material. But if your attachment to parents is just because they gave you birth, that's all right, it's not wrong. In the society, we should have that level of attachment to parents. Otherwise, there'll be chaos. We'll just keep abandoning old parents. That's not good. You should not abandon parents. We should have great gratitude to parents, Pitrus, forefathers, everybody who's done us any good in our life at any point of time, our teachers, our friends, our well-wishers, our doctors, our nurse, the midwife who delivers us, everybody we have gratitude. So gratitude is a principle, a respected principle of life. So, but nevertheless, as a responsible devotee of the Lord, all your affection should have a touch of Krishna consciousness. That is, we should always wish that they also become nice devotees. They also go back to Krishna. They chant Hare Krishna. They come to a temple. Our house becomes like a temple. We take prasad. And everything is harmoniously done according to bhakti. So if your commitment to your parents is to see that they are spiritually elevated also, then that is good. Actually, even when you do Pindadan, we are supposed to do it in such a fashion that may my parents, wherever they are, progress spiritually. May they become better devotees. May here I am feeding them Krishna Prasad. May the benefit of this go to them. I do Godan. The benefit of Godan go to them so they advance spiritually. So there is an element of bhakti, Krishna consciousness in all our samskaras. Similarly, your attachment to your children also should be not just because they are your children, then that would be very animalistic. But attachment to children should be that I have taken this responsibility, become a Krsna, they have come into my family, They become my children. My first and primary goal is to give them an opportunity to become devotees. Not force them, give them an opportunity. Encourage them, lovingly encourage them to discover Krishna in their life. So, anything can be material or anything can be transformed into spiritual. A touch of Krishna consciousness can be blended into it. Got it? All right. Yes.
Which one we can take it as in a failure?
Which one we can take as?
Failure and success.
Failure.
Failure and success both.
Failure and success. Actually, in the strictest sense, his question is, what can we take as a failure? What can we take as a success? In the strictest sense of the term, I would not like to accept that something is a failure. I'll tell you why. Because as long as you're trying to make yourself a better devotee, reform or learn lessons from the past, learn lessons from your mistake, as long as even that little spirit is there to become a better devotee, better human being, and it's not failure. I would still say it's a stepping stone to becoming a better human being, better devotee, better gentleman, better responsible citizen. But the moment you give up trying, that would come close to being called a failure. If you give up, you don't want to become, you have given up on yourself, you have no hope, then that is a little difficult. So as long as one is trying, as long as one is reading, searching, seeing, learning, and somehow or other trying to see that we become a better devotee or human being, then it's not a failure. So it's stepping stone. And what is success? Success is that when you're progressing healthily, actively to becoming a better devotee, and you're grateful to your Guru, Krishna, the scriptures, sadhus, the deities, everybody who is helping you, you're very grateful to them, and you're carrying on, then you could say you're on the path of achieving success. The urge to become a better devotee, better human being, better gentleman, truthful, more honest, more dedicated, more urge should there. As long as it is there, you're not a failure. We should never give up hope in this world. As long as Krishna is there, there's always reason for hope. There's always good reason to be hopeful. Krishna will reach out. Krishna will reciprocate. Vibhishana came to Lord Rama at the very fag end, in the sense, the next morning the war is supposed to start, Vibhishana came to Rama. So Sugriva said he's come as an opportunist, he's come to save himself. Lord Rama says, doesn't matter. He may have come to save himself out of selfishness. But the desire to save himself is there, I will recognize and accept him. Doesn't matter he has come so late. Nobody can go to enemy camp as late as Vibhishana did. Just before the conch is blown and the war is about to start, more or less like that, Vibhishana switches sides. But Rama accepts him. Because Rama says he understands that by coming here he can improve, or his chances, whatever, his life will be better. So as long as he wants to come to me, he's always welcome. Okay? Thank you very much. Grantharaj Srimad Bhagavatam ki. Srila Prabhupada ki. Shri Radha Madan Mohan. Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadramai. Shri Gaur Nithai.